what's up? It's your girl Erica, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Sunday. I hope you're having an amazing day. Whether you're at church or you're out brunching or just running errands or you maybe even on vacation. I hope your week has gotten off to a great start. My week is I'm going to say that my week has gotten off to a great start. I just want to share that after 18 years of service on my job, my employer decided to eliminate my position. My team of 12 people, we were all let go. Like I said, our positions were terminated from the company. And so I'm in a little transition right now. I will say that it's a blessing in disguise. I know that I needed to pivot even professionally. So here I am. Like I said, all is well, but I just wanted to come down to YouTube, or aka YT Lane, or whatever I feel like saying today, and just do my review and recap of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Of course, this is season 10. It's episode 2, and it was called I Am Ken-ough. And again, people, I just wanted to say that, sometimes, I don't have a huge following. But those that are following me, thank you so much, because like I said, this is a transition for me. I know I don't have a huge following, so I know that, of course, YouTube, I'm not depending on YouTube or anything, but I'm just saying that I just wanted to come down and, share some love and, do my normal thing like I normally do, because I love doing this. Believe it or not, this is something that I really like doing. So just in the, of course, with me dealing with all the emotions of losing my position, I wanted to come and spread some sunshine. So hang in there with me, guys. But anyway, let's get into this review. So the actual episode, and of course, as always, I have my notes. The episode actually opened up with Ken and Latricia. They actually went and had some drinks with Maurice and Kimmy. And they just sort of sat down and started talking. Of course, the conversation was very general in the beginning. Kimmy was saying that they actually finished the renovation, or they had just completed the renovation on the lower level of their home, so that they had been staying in an Airbnb. And Kim was kind of joking and said he really doesn't like to stay anywhere else but at home. And so they just kind of had, like I said, small talk in the beginning. Then they sort of got into the heavier conversations. Ken and Latricia were actually explaining or telling or sharing with Maurice and Kimmy what happened with Marques. If you did not see last week's episode, Marques came to Ken and Latricia's home at the very end of the show, or the very end of the episode. And he just sort of barged in. We did not fully see it, but from the sound of things, he sort of came in while production was filming, and he did not ask to come in. He just sort of walked in, and this is definitely not the norm for Latricia. So there were some issues about it, so to speak. So anyway, they were talking about that. Ken, let me just say this. I'm going to give a lot of my opinion about it. I think Ken is a really good guy. I think it takes a lot of love, patience, and you have to just be a decent person to want to take on the responsibility of someone else's children. I think Ken is a really good guy. I think that he means well, and I think that he has really tried to do his best and to do right by Latricia as well as her 2 children. So I commend him for that. And I think also Ken sort of received some backlash from some of the viewers, and I'm sure he's read them and he's heard some comments about people saying, well, he's not the biological father. And so I think he's trying to he wanted to kind of like start things over with Marques and give Marques a chance to sort of come in and be a great dad. He didn't want to overstep his boundaries. So again, I commend Ken for that. But Marques is not going to make this easy. What can I say? Marques really just wants to cause a problem. I said that if you go back and look at my review from last week, I said Marques wants to cause problem. He has a gripe with Latricia. He still has unfinished business with Latricia. It has nothing to do with their love or them being together. I think he hates the fact that Latricia was able to move on and to move forward and to go on without him. He doesn't want that. His ego won't allow it. He's like another Martell. I tell you, all of these M's on the show: Martell, Marques, Maurice, and Marsau. You know, these are these man children. They're maniacs. All of these M's, and they really, like I said, most of them have their issues, and Marques has just been added to the list of the crazy M's on this show. But anyway, they were just talking about it, and you know, of course, Luther Maurice comes in. Of course, he wants to take up for Marques a little bit and just saying, sort of giving him some grace. And you know, Kim was saying, hey, I don't mind doing that, but he has to understand that I have been there for these children. You know, if you go to their school or you talk to the principal, you talk to anyone about them, they see me. They know me. They don't know Marques. And I think Kim made some really, really good points. And Kimmy sort of sided with Ken throughout this because she's been through similar things with Maurice's ex-wife, Ken-ough. You know, at a certain point, they thought that it was best that Monster, I can't stand that name, but anyway, Monster decided to come and live with Maurice permanently because he was, of course, a boy, and they felt like it would be best for him to be raised by his father. And so Kimmy had to deal with the backlash of Ken-ough, and of course Maurice not really wanting her to be part of you know, sort of part of their life in a way. Hold just for a second. All right, guys, I'm back. I didn't want to start the video completely over. It seems like every time I record, someone always calls or someone's ringing the doorbell or whatever. But anyway, so let's get back into it. So like I said, Kimmy really understood where Ken was coming from because, like I said, she had that same issue, or she had some of the same issues with Monster's mom, Ken-ough. If you go back to like season 1, I think it was season 2, if I'm not mistaken, they had some really, really tough times. They had some hard conversations. Kimmy had to have some hard conversations with Maurice about Ken-ough, and she even had to get Ken-ough straight about a lot of things. So if you go back and watch, if you didn't see it, if you get a chance, go back and watch season 2, and I think that will sort of give you more of a backdrop and context to what really happened and as to why Kimmy really feels strongly the way she does. Like I said, I think Ken is very noble, very honorable for what he's trying to do. He has tried to give Marques the benefit of the doubt. Unfortunately, Marques has a score to settle with Latricia, and so he's just using Ken. He knows that Ken is a good guy, and he's using that as a way to sort of kick in the door and get back at Latricia. So that was the end of their conversation. Martell was out furniture shopping. He is looking to furnish his investment home. Destiny joined him at the furniture store. Martell said that he wants to move Ariane in to his investment property. Again, he said into his investment property, not into his main home where he stays or where he resides. And I just said to myself, you know, Martell is a piece of work because Martell still wants to control that situation. Martell has not changed at all. He's saying, you know, Ariane is doing all that she needs to do to prove that she's ready to be his wife or for their relationship to go to the next level. But to me, Martell hasn't proven anything to Ariane, and he's not going to. So, you know, I know that Destiny and Martell are friends. I'm not sure. Destiny seems to be a very honest person. I'm sure she said a lot more to Martell off camera. Maybe not. I could be wrong. I would think that she has. But to me, just listening to Martell, listening to what he has to say, it would be very hard for me not to say it on camera because I know that Martell is full of it. He's full of himself. He always has been, and I'm sure he always will be until, you know, he is called home. But hey, it is what it is. Martell gets away with murder, and he's going to continue to do it. And in this situation, and let's just talk about it a little bit. Ariane is a woman who knows exactly who Martell is. She started dating Martell or dealing with Martell when he was married. But in this particular situation, like I said, with women, sometimes with women, we don't want to lose. And we make up in our minds that no matter how bad the situation is, we're not going to lose. And Ariane is just that woman. It's not the perfect circumstances. She knows that it's not going to be, she's walking into the greatest, she doesn't have the greatest love story, but for her, she's just not going to lose. And so since, Martell and Melody divorced and now she's part of his life, she's going to make the best of it because she's looking at it like, I'm still going to come out on top. People talked about me. People called me a peasant. They called me coleslaw. They called me all these other things, yet I got the man. Well, you got the man, but again, you still did not get a man that has completely changed, that he has integrity, that he's doing things completely different. You just got the man. So if you're okay with that, Ariane, then we have no other choice but to be okay with it too. But again, like I said, women, we have to look at ourselves and say, we just want to win, but is it really worth it at the end of the day? So, like I said, that was the end of their conversation. And Destiny just kind of told Martell that, she's ready to date again after everything that happened with Lance. She spoke very highly of Nell and Chris's son, Lance. She said he was a really nice guy, but she recognized that he's not the guy for her. So she's going to move forward and start dating, and that's the best thing for her to do. Marsau and Tisha, they move on. We see them. We see Marsau on the grounds of Scott Manor. They have been building or attempting to build this home for 6 years. Tisha said that they started building it in 2019 and it is now 2025. I don't want to say a whole lot about that because I've never built a home, and so I don't know what goes into that. I know that there are a lot of things from the licensing and just so many things that you have to do, but I would think that this home would have been done by now. I think Marsau has bit off a lot more than he can chew because Tisha told Marsau that she wants her brokerage firm. She wants that built or completely done. Marsau is also working on Kimmy's restaurant called Jordan Lane, and then he's also trying to do Scott Manor. And I think it's just a whole lot. I don't know if he doesn't have the manpower. I don't know if it's a money issue or what, but there's something going on where Marsau cannot fully complete these projects. So I guess we'll just have to see how it all turns out, maybe at the end of this season, or if anything is complete. I doubt it very seriously, but again, I don't want to just be completely negative about it, but I just, like I said, I think Marsau has bit off more than he can chew. So of course, Martin Luther Maurice, excuse me guys, Martin Luther Maurice meets up with Marques. And like I said, Maurice wants to be this preacher, pastor, motivator, this all-around good guy. There are definitely some questions that I have about Maurice's character, but again, I'm used to him trying to portray himself or put himself in the best light. He talks to Marques. Like I said, Marques really had nothing positive to say. He wasn't there to benefit or get advice from Maurice. He just wanted to sort of, like I said, he wanted to take some digs at Trisha. He said that his father told him that he knew that their marriage would never work. And but he said he wanted to prove everyone wrong, so he stuck in there. He said that Latricia really just wanted, she likes Ken as much as she does because Ken reminds her of her father, and he said he could never be her father. Like I said, I didn't see anything positive coming out of it because to me, Marques just wants to jab Latricia. He's angry, like I said, as a man because she has moved on and she has done so well. Oftentimes in those situations, men tend to move on quicker or they seem to do much better than women. in those situations when they separate or divorce, they move on. They can attach themselves to another woman, and oftentimes they seem to be doing extremely well. Well, it's a difference in this situation wherein the woman is not struggling. She has met a really nice guy, and he has been very, very helpful with her children. And I think that really, really, really bothers it bothers Marques. So Maurice asked Marques, what have you done wrong? What is it that you've done wrong? And that's what Marques said. Marques just said that he should have left after the first year. I thought that was stupid. That's the only thing that you've done wrong. Not being in your children's life was not wrong. Not being there for Latricia was not wrong. Not he didn't mention the fact that he didn't honor his marriage vows. That's not wrong. There are so many things that we could talk about what Marques did wrong, yet the only thing that he could think about is the fact that he should have left after the first year. Marques is a joke to me. Like Carlos King, you know how Carlos King says, I love the girls, I love the girls, I love the girls. And I know that, Carlos King gave Marques a chance to sort of come on and tell his story, and maybe even to give him a job. I have nothing against that. Carlos, I love you dearly, but I'm hoping that after this season, I know they have longer seasons. I don't know if they're going to have 10 episodes for the first part of the season or first half. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm hoping that after the season finale or the first part of this season, I'm hoping that we don't have to see Marques anymore, because he really has nothing else to contribute other than the fact that he wants to drag Latricia through the mud. He's not really about trying to be a better father. He's not trying. He just wants the airtime, and he wants to drag Latricia. That's it. And I'm tired of Marques altogether. I can't even tell you what he's about. Like I said, personality wise, he reminds me a lot of Ralph from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I said that last week in my review, and I'm not changing my mind about it. He reminds me a lot of Ralph. He wants Latricia to look like a liar. He wants Latricia to look bad. He's hoping that the viewers will come to hate her when he sort of puts his mouth on her, and that's what he's trying to do. And I'm tired of Marques, and I don't want to see it. Marques is another liar like the rest of the men on Love and Marriage Huntsville. They've added another liar, another manipulator to this cast, and I'm just sick of it. Okay, but that was really the end of that conversation. So Tisha had a little conversation with MJ. They were riding in the car. Y'all, I think, because I saw this online, how was Letitia driving? Like, she kept doing this the entire time. Like, she was talking to MJ, but she was looking at MJ. Girl, you could not have been driving, because your eyes should have been on that road, especially with everything that goes on out on the road. You weren't on a road where you sort of are there by yourself. I said, oh my God, if Tisha is that kind of driver, I wouldn't want to be in front of her, behind her, or on the side of her, because she is just not a cautious driver. But anyway, so she was just talking to MJ. MJ wants to go to school in Michigan. She's a little apprehensive about it because of course that's her first baby, and she's also kind of very protective of him. But MJ seems like he just wants to get as far away from his family as possible. So that was just the end of that conversation. Now we have Ken, Latricia, and Ken and Latricia are talking. Marques is coming over because Ken wants to talk to Marques about the incident where he came to the house. There was a whole lot going on, but I'm going to tell you guys, honestly, the way I feel, Marques was saying a bunch of nothing. Ken told him basically, you crossed some boundaries. I've been trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. I've been trying to sort of work with you. I know what you're trying to do. I know what you're trying to accomplish. Yes, these are your children, but this is also my family, and we're going to have to establish some boundaries. Marques went in immediately and said boundaries should have been set when you two first got together. What boundaries are those? Because Ken did not meet Latricia and then move into her house. So they did not purchase a home together the very next day, the very next week, I'm sure the very next month. So what boundaries are you talking about? I'm sure Latricia probably did not even introduce the children to Ken right away. But anyway, Marques, Latricia's friend, also came back over. I forgot, I think it's Sharon. She came back over because Latricia said that Marques owed her an apology. Of course, Marques wanted to, of course, portray himself as the nice guy. Oh, glad to see you again. I'm sorry we got off on the wrong foot. Do you want something to drink? Next time I'll bring a bottle of something. Like, he was just acting like he was controlling everything. And see, that's the issue. Marques wants to control the narrative of everyone. He wants to play the victim and act like he's had such a hard life and now he just wants to be the greatest dad. He wants to be dad of the year. Yet he's trying to control how Ken acts. He's trying to embarrass Latricia. He wants his children to choose him over Ken and Latricia. And I am tired of it. Their whole conversation was like a tennis match or a ping pong match. They were back and forth, back and forth, back and forth about who's right. And the point of the matter is, Marques, number one, when you come and pick up your kids, you do not walk in Ken and Latricia's house. Point blank, period. That's the end of the discussion. You do not walk in their house without notification. You and Latricia don't have that kind of relationship. She said it. She clarified it. Don't do that. People want to say that, and Marques even said when he was talking to Maurice that he could have Latricia back if he wanted. Well, at the end of this episode, nothing in Latricia. Now, I'm a woman, and I'm sure some of, I have some female viewers, and I'm sure a lot of other women, even men who are watching the show. I'm not making this about a gender thing. But there is nothing in Latricia that makes me say she still wants him. Like I said in my first review of season 10 last week, she hates him. She's not a good communicator, so she's not a Kimmy. She can't communicate or articulate how she really feels, but Latricia actually hates Marques. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't keep trying to make it seem like that's Marques's ego speaking. That's not how Latricia really feels. So number one, the boundary is, Marques, you cannot walk in their house. Number two, like Ken said, this is my family. I've been taking care of them without you being here. I understand that I am not their biological father. I'm not trying to be their biological father. I will never be their biological father. But I am the protector of this family, which includes your soon-to-be ex-wife and your children. So in order to get to them, sometimes you will have to come through me. I understood what Ken was saying. It wasn't like, I don't think it was a pissing contest. I just think that Ken sort of felt betrayed by Marques by doing what he did. Marques was talking about a bunch of nothing, bottom line. And he wants to challenge Ken's manhood. He wants to sort of come at him. But that's who Marques is. That's why I say Marques doesn't need to be on this show, because Marques is not there for the right reasons. Marques, if you are really there for your children, you will say, Ken, thank you for stepping up to the plate. I respect what you're saying. And, I will deal with my children and my children only. As far as you and Latricia are concerned, let's get this divorce out of the way and let's move forward. That whole confrontation, that whole altercation going back and forth, which is to be continued next week, is, like I said, it is all for nothing, because at the end of the day, Ken and Latricia are operating as a unit, as a couple, as one. They're not legally married, but they operate as a unit. Marques, in this situation, you are the third wheel, period. So it's kind of like you have to put up or shut up. Either you're going to try to be a great dad to your kids, or step out of the picture like you were before a season ago when you just came back into your children's life. Either you're going to get on board or get off the ride and let Ken and Latricia continue to do what they have been doing for these children all along. So that was the episode, guys. I hope I recapped it well enough for you. Like I said, it was a pretty good episode. It wasn't, this is the second episode. Like I said, there is a continuation next week, and I'm sure we'll get a little more next week, because Nell and Chris weren't on there, and maybe we'll get a little bit more next week. So Anyway, guys, like I said, like this video, subscribe to my channel, please. I always say this every week or whenever I do a recap and a review of a show. You know, drop me a comment. Like, if you agree with me, tell me what you think. Like, how do you feel about the Marques versus Ken thing? Whose side are you on? Are you more with Ken, or do you feel like Marques has valid points? Also, let me know, you know, what you think about, you know, Marsau and, you know, him building the house for, you know, 6 years. Let me know what you think about Martell. Do you think Martell and Ariane will make it? You know, give me a shout out and let me know what you think. Even if you disagree with me, I fully understand. I welcome that. You know, I welcome, you know, even positive feedback. But, you know, we can, you know, you don't have to agree with me, but, you know, let's just do it in a positive way. If you disagree with me, say, hey, girl, I don't agree with you on that. And I will definitely send you a reply, because I appreciate that. I love to look at other perspectives or look at things in a different way. Now, there are some things I won't change my mind about, like Marques. But, you know, if you have something to add to it, feel free to drop down in the comments and let me know. So anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you have a great day and a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye.